Welcome to Onslow County Today. I'm your host, Lisa Whitman-Grice, and we have some wonderful guests with us. We're going to be talking about the 50th anniversary of the North Carolina District Court System. We're also going to learn about vaccinations and back to school time. We'll be talking with peers about an upcoming program, and finally with the Onslow County Public Library about all the great summer and back to school plans that they have in store. As always, we're so glad you're joining us for Onslow County Today. Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and it is a pleasure to welcome the Honorable Judge Paul Hardison, Chief Judge of the 4th District of North Carolina. Your Honor, it is a pleasure to have you here there.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you today, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to come and share some information about our court system.
Well, certainly. We are commemorating a very important anniversary. This is, in fact, the 50th anniversary of the North Carolina District Court System, and we would love for you to share with us, first and foremost, why this commemoration is so important.
Well, it's important for a number of reasons. Prior to the General Court of Justice being created in 1966, the system operated with a hybrid system. Basically, you had the Superior Court, which was the trial division, and the Supreme Court was actually the appellate court, the Court of Appeals. And at that time, the judges were paid by the state. And you had the lower system, which was justices of the peace. And it's interesting to note that the justices of the peace were paid by the local municipalities or counties. And if the justice did not find you guilty, the justice of the peace did not receive any compensation. So it was guilty, you get paid; not guilty, no payment. And so the General Assembly found that that had some concerns for the public. And as a result, a commission was established to review and present to the legislature means and ways to improve our administration of justice so that it would be fair and impartial, because certainly someone who is going to be paid for a guilty verdict creates a bias and the appearance of a bias.
Certainly. And those justices originally, if I recall correctly, were first appointed.
Yes.
And not an elected official.
That's correct.
So these were appointed figures who then only got paid if their verdict was guilty.
And the justices of the peace were not required to have legal training.
So
they were appointed and by various individuals who would serve, say, in Sneed's Ferry, Richlands. And as a result, you had 256 different court systems throughout the state.
So across the state of North Carolina, from one precinct or one county to the next, it was whatever the personality was or characteristics of that community was, is how it translated.
That's correct.
So in 1966, significant, important legislation took place that would redefine our judicial system in the state.
That's correct. Actually, in 1955, a commission was established, the Bell Commission, to review the policies and procedures of the Court of Jurisdiction. And as a result, in 1966, the law under North Carolina General Assembly was authorized on Article 4 to establish the General Court of Justice. And that was created to provide District Court, Superior Court, Court of Appeals, Supreme Court. So you have a unified system of justice throughout the state of North Carolina.
Now, for those of us who have perhaps had the opportunity to serve, to have jury service, we know a little bit, maybe just that case that we participated in or served in. Can you give us a little bit of understanding of what those different bodies within the judicial system mean?
Yes, the trial division is the district court and superior court. And superior court and district court has jurisdiction over certain matters. Superior court over $10,000 in civil cases, and district court less than $10,000. And there's also another division of district court, which is the magistrate's court, and that's jurisdiction of $5,000 in civil cases. And basically the magistrates hear cases involving disputes between people, small amounts up to $5,000, and also dealing with personal property and liens on vehicles and matters of that nature. The district court has jurisdiction in criminal matters, all misdemeanors, juvenile matters. Civil cases include family law, domestic law, and in juvenile matters, that's both cases involving abuse and neglect and juvenile delinquency. And in some instances, the legislature has now authorized the district court to dispose of some low-level felonies. So in essence, the district court is the workhorse of the trial court. Superior court handles felonies and other matters exclusively in that jurisdiction. You have the Court of Appeals, where in civil cases, in district court, you disagree with the court's decision, and based upon some law, you can appeal to Court of Appeals. That court decides whether or not the lower court made the wrong decision or opposed that decision. Then you have a right to go to Supreme Court. Superior Court, from there you go to Court of Appeals, Supreme Court, except in death penalty cases. In death penalty cases, the matter goes automatically from the Superior Court to the North Carolina Supreme Court.
To the Supreme Court, yes, sir. So as you said, we are commemorating the 50th anniversary of the district court, which is, you put it, the workhorse of the system. I mean, you cover so many different matters, but beyond that, we would typically or traditionally think, as we talked about the justices in each county, the district court is in fact districts. You don't just serve Onslow County and the people of Onslow County. How many counties are actually covered in the 4th district?
In the 4th district, we have 4 counties: Onslow County, Jones County, Duplin County, and Sampson County.
So a wide range of communities as
That's
well.
correct.
A wide range of
Exactly.
communities and varying populations. You're dealing with everything from Onslow County, one of the largest counties in our state, to Jones County, and one of the smallest
That's
populations
correct.
of our state. Talk a little bit about, if you will, sir, what it means to serve those communities.
In each county, court schedules are set based upon the number of cases that occur or filed in each county, and also depending upon the case loads. For example, Onslow County has the heaviest caseload. And in Onslow County, we will have anywhere between 4 to 5 judges assigned here on any given day.
Any given day?
Any given day.
Yes, sir.
And in Duplin County and Sampson counties, we have 2 judges assigned there, depending on what the calendaring process is. Because see, we also have to leave space for Superior Court to utilize some of the courtrooms. So we cannot always have both civil and criminal cases going in all the counties. And for an example, in Jones County, court's held once a week on Fridays for criminal court, and then maybe once a month or once every 2 months or once every 3 months for civil cases, depending on the caseload. So it's a variety of cases, a variety of people, and I just enjoy meeting them.
Well, you know, you mentioned the people that are involved. As I'm listening to you talk about the complexity of that scheduling and the complexity of the caseloads and the cases that come before you and the other judges, can you speak to the behind the scenes, your staff, your team within the district court system?
Well, yes. In 2014, I was appointed by Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Martin, as Chief Judge of the 4th Judicial District. And as a result, I am responsible for supervising the judicial assistants, an assistant trial court administrator, approximately 23 magistrates,
Oh, my lands.
and also mediators. And in each district, there's a chief magistrate, I have a senior judicial official, a judicial assistant, that's my right hand, Robin Bright, and she keeps me scheduled where I'm supposed to be and where I'm supposed to go every day.
Yes, sir.
But without micromanaging, there are individuals who in those positions who address the issues that affect the magistrates, the judicial assistants, etc. And if the issue is not resolved, then I'm contacted and try to resolve it the best way we can.
Yes, sir. So it is really this entire team working on behalf of the citizens of our state.
It has to be a team effort because one person cannot control, cannot operate this vast operation. It's really a large system, larger than the average individual would realize, unless they came to court for a few days and see some of those calendars where we have 600, 700, 800 people on one calendar in one courtroom.
That is remarkable to think about, and the complexity of each individual case and the attention to detail that must go into each one.
Each case is unique, each case is individual, and the judge must give that particular case the attention it needs to resolve that legal dispute between the parties.
So in thinking about the evolution of the court system since 1966,
Yes.
since those districts were established, I'm just imagining how things were not handled with that attention to detail even 50 years ago, and the equity that's now being applied to the law.
Well, judicial branch was established to protect the rights and liberties of all citizens under the Constitution of the United States, and to provide a fair and impartial forum for the resolution of those matters. And as you look at historically, for example, with justices of the peace, it's hard to determine whether or not some of those cases were actually fair and impartial.
Yes, sir.
And at this time, you have an opportunity, and this is something our Chief Justice has emphasized,
Yes.
is to create public awareness about the system and afford individuals opportunities to come, look at the system, review the system, and see how our judicial branch operates.
Well, and that's exactly what this year is all about, this commemoration, the proclamation by the governor, and certainly the commemorations that will be going on throughout the year. How can we learn more about this commemoration? How can the citizenry become more aware and understand our judicial system?
Well, for one thing, we're going to be placing posters throughout the courthouse, providing brochures, pamphlets. As a matter of fact, I have some in my trunk I will leave with you today.
Oh, thank you.
And you can distribute them. Also, as I travel throughout the districts, I also speak to a lot of schools. And I have pamphlets that I carry now to give to some of the students and explain to them how the court system works, what it's about, and let them become familiar at an earlier age. And it eliminates the nervousness a lot of people may experience. For example, as a juror, a friend of mine called me the other day and indicated, "Oh my God, I'm having a heart attack." I said, "For what?" I was released from jury duty, but my heart's just racing. I'm scared to death. We want the public to be able to come and have a comfortable experience without the fear of the unknown.
Well, I thank you so much for making Onslow County Today one of your stops on that tour of sharing that important information.
Yes.
We will direct people certainly to the website for the North Carolina court system so that they can learn more, and let them know to be on the lookout for those posters, and as they might be conducting business in one of your courthouses, to be on the lookout for those posters and that information as well.
Thank you.
Oh, Judge Hardison, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Whitney Jezik from the Onslow County Health Department. Whitney, welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, first we always like to introduce our guests, let them know exactly what you do within the health department. So you gave me a long title earlier. Please share that.
I'm Whitney Jezik. I am an RN. I have a baccalaureate degree in nursing, and I work in immunizations, communicable disease, and health promotions. I'm a diabetic educator with the health department as well.
Well, and we're just going to say and comma, and maybe just
and the
ellipses,
5% as due assigned.
Absolutely. Every time you join us, I learn something new. I think that the information that you share from our health department and their scope of services is remarkable. And now, hard to believe, it is time to talk about back to school.
I know.
And
that is amazing.
And every child watching says, no, it's still summer. It's still 100 degrees.
Yes, it is.
But we want to talk about really to the parents of our children here in Onslow County, because we want to make sure that they are prepared for their best possible school year, and that begins with health and wellness. So,
yes, it does.
So talk about making that child the healthiest, happiest child we can do to begin with.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're kicking off. We joked about this before we came on camera, that we're going to go from the babies forward. So my children have long been out of kindergarten, but if I were preparing to enroll my children in school for this fall, what do I need to do first?
Well, the first time that they enter into school, they have to have a school physical. And fortunately, we at the Onslow County Health Department provide school physicals. We do not provide sports physicals, and we don't take care of sick children or adults, but we do have wellness programs. And one of those is through Child Health, and you can get your school physical for school. And there is a new law that came into effect that if you are new to the state and you are entering into a public school for the first time, no matter what your age is, you must have a school physical as well.
Okay, it's important to know that because not every child gets a physical every year.
Correct.
And so we want to know, first time in an Onslow County school or any county school here, public school here in North Carolina, if you are new to our state system.
Yes, ma'am.
Any grade.
Any grade and kindergarten, because you're entering to school for the first time.
And so definitely every kindergartner.
Yes, ma'am.
So, it's a little bit scary. You're that 5-year-old or 4-year-old getting ready to walk in the door for the first time. And so we're going to have to go make sure that we have our wellness check. What are we looking for in that wellness assessment?
Well, you're going to get a head-to-toe assessment, which means the nurse is going to have a school physical that the state provides for her to fill out. And that nurse's name is Giacana Morrow. She's amazing. Oh. She's no bigger than a minute, but she is packed full of information and knowledge. She's been doing this a long time. So she does a head-to-toe assessment, and then she checks the hearing and the vision of the child. And then we have a review of the immunization record, because you have to have certain immunizations to go to kindergarten. And fortunately, we have on our website all of those immunizations posted. And a lot of schools will also give that parent a handout when they are enrolling in school about those vaccinations that are required, because every state is different. And each state has different requirements for school. We don't have a national school immunization registry, but what we actually have in the state of North Carolina is a registry called the North Carolina Immunization Registry. So if you're a child that has received immunizations, let's say in Wilmington, and you moved up to Boone and you got some at a health department in Boone or a private provider that actually participated in the registry, when you come to Onslow County, all of that information is all still contained on the registry. So once you come to the health department, if we always ask parents, you have to make an appointment for that physical exam. And they range in the week and times during the week. We're open from 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. We close at 5, but you can't take an appointment after 4. And they're based on availability. The more we need, the more spaces we open up. There's a number that we're going to put on the screen and our website so that you can go to the website as well. There are forms that you might want to print out ahead of time, but you're going to want to bring your child's immunization record. If it's got a bunch of little parts, bring all the little parts, and we'll put them all into the registry for you, and we will update that record. The communication between the health the child health nurse and myself, Gia Conda and myself, is the day before the visit, we check and make sure if that information is in the registry and what vaccines that child would need. So we can educate the parent on why they're important, which ones are the law, and which ones are really about promoting health. Because public health is about keeping the well.
Exactly. And I love that you talk about this idea of the well, because we know that there are no better vectors from any kind of anything than a little person who love to share whatever they might have.
This is very true.
And so sometimes that might involve whatever little creepy crawly they've got. So we're going to get a head-to-toe assessment, and you've got this now statewide registry so that you can check, so that that parent doesn't have to say, I think they got that booster when they were, I think.
And we don't take a parent's word for it.
Very good.
You have to actually have the documentation
Very
from
good.
a provider.
So the registry is there, and then you're going to get the necessary vaccinations that, again, can find on the website, can find on the school website, and you've got that form there. Now, you talk about Gioconda and her relationship with those kids. This is a scary time, and one of the things that you and I have talked about is preparing a child for that physical, how to put them at ease and how to put them at ease about the vaccinations. Talk a little bit about what we as parents can do before we even walk in the door at the health department.
Well, as a parent, I have a 25-year-old daughter and an almost 22-year-old son. And when I say they've had every vaccination, I'm an immunization nurse, I'm a vaccinator, they're going to get everything. But I'm a nurse above that. And I've seen, sadly, the consequences of not vaccinating a child against a vaccine-preventable illness. I always tell people, go to authoritative sources. If you're going to research a vaccine, just because somebody says it's true on the internet, it does not mean it's true. Go to the websites of the people that manufactured the drug or the vaccine. Go to the CDC, the communicable disease websites that are out there, and learn about these diseases and what the risk factors are versus vaccination and non-vaccinating. I respect that person that chooses not to vaccinate, but I really do encourage people to prevent something from happening so that you don't live with a consequence later on in life.
Absolutely. You know, even now, I have a younger staff member. He never had the chicken pox. You know, I had the chicken.
We have a vaccine for that now.
We have a vaccine for that now. Learning, as you say, doing your homework, understanding what it means, and then, as you say, the consequences. As we prepare that pre-kindergartner, that kindergartner, what are some things that we can then talk to them about as the relationship that they'll have with that nurse? Who is this person that you're going to see, this person who's probably going to give me a shot?
Well, fortunately, Gioconda doesn't do that. She
Yeah.
sends them down to me,
She
and
gets
I
to
get
be
the pleasure of doing that. I always talk about the parent first, because the parent, if you're empowered with information and you are brave for your child will be brave in that moment.
Awesome.
And we're all trained to help them with that. I'm a speaker of the truth. So therefore, when I go down to Gioconda's office and I say, this child needs X, Y, and Z vaccines, and we mix these vaccines. Fortunately today, you'll get a measles, mumps, rubella, but it'll all come in one poke. And then if they're young enough, you'll get the measles, mumps, rubella, and the chickenpox in one poke, because we now combined vaccines. We didn't do that a long time ago, but we do it now, and it's an amazing science. There is a true science to it. Vaccines are spaced appropriately so that the human body can react and respond and create the antigens and antibodies that you need to fight these diseases when they are presented to you, or lessen them if you get exposed to them before your vaccine has had its opportunity to work. I always love the flu vaccine as that example. Everybody in the neighborhood gets the flu, so you come and get your flu vaccine, and then you get the flu, but it takes 2 to 4 weeks for that flu vaccine to actually get all of its protection built up in your body. So we always tell people, you may get these vaccines, but if you come in contact with the actual virus or illness itself, your body still has to work that out for the immunity, and it takes time.
It takes time.
And those are spaced according to a very smart group of scientists that schedule them, and they're spaced accordingly so that they become effective for the body. But back to your question about moms. I like to empower the moms so that they can give information to their child that's encouraging and positive. You know, we're going for a kindergarten physical. She's going to listen to your lungs. She's going to put little things on your ears to listen to your hearing and see what you can hear. She's going to have you cover your eye because she's going to check your vision and see what it's like. And then you may have to get some immunizations. And you can use that big word and kind of cloak it in mystery, because when they come down to the clinic, I'm going to explain to them. I help the mom sit their child properly for safety, and the mom is actually hugging the child. And I'm the bad person, I guess you'd say, in that instance, but I talk to them. I tell them exactly what's going to happen, how many vaccines they're going to get, where they're going to go, and I touch their leg, because most kindergartners get their vaccines in their legs.
Right.
They're the largest muscles, but the most important thing about that is they're active. So you want to put them in those large muscles that they're going to go home and use, so that that blood perfuses that site
works.
and takes that vaccine away, so it's not sitting there like a little rock in their leg or their arm. A lot of people go, why do you put it in the arm I write with? Because you're going to use that arm. And I tell them, this is going to bite a little. But I have really great Band-Aids and I have really great stickers, and usually the moment is over with. Ironically, it's the parent that has more anxiety about it, because kids are like that. They're in that moment. When it's done, it's done. You give them a Band-Aid and they pick their sticker or their toy from the toy box, and out the door they go, and they're fine, and mother's still breathing, going... You know, well, it's going to be okay. And we tell them, we give them a printout of that vaccine record. The really coolest thing about the immunization registry is this: the school nurse can actually see it. We give them permission to look at it. They can't make entries into it, and they can't make deletions from it, but they can look at it. So when that nurse is going through, because every school nurse looks at every child's immunization record to make sure that they are up to date for vaccines, and they'll send you a notice that says your child needs X vaccine or Y vaccine, and then they come with us. That nurse can actually see it, so you don't have to make that second trip into the nurse's office to give them that shot record if it's in the registry.
It's right there.
It's right there. They can pull it up.
There. So we're moving forward. We have happily entered kindergarten.
Yes, we have.
And the year has gone well, but and it's time to move forward. What do we need to think about next as we move our children through elementary and then into
Well, you
middle school?
get them in middle school, and that is we call it the rising sixth grader. And what we do, it's just a really cool program. We actually go into the schools. We used to send paper home, but now everything is electronic. So later on in September, October timeframe, there'll be a letter sent home to the parents of the middle schooler and the high schooler, because high schoolers need vaccines as well. So, and even people our age, we need vaccines. The vaccines that we get later on are maybe boosters from a youth, or moving on to things that we don't want to get as we get older. But they will download this form that they can fill out. We're going to put it in an Adobe format so they can type everything into the form, print it out, and send it back to us. And we will bring the 3 vaccines that are crucial for middle schoolers and high schoolers. The first one is Menactra. It's for meningococcal, it's meningitis.
Right.
Then the other one is Tdap, which stands for tetanus, pertussis, and diphtheria, which most people look at the pertussis as whooping cough. Tetanus is in the dirt, and then diphtheria is, we call that the bonus. Because it's all incorporated there into that vaccine. And then we offer the HPV vaccine. And I know that vaccine is a very controversial vaccine. What it really is, bottom line, is it's a cancer-preventing vaccine. People think that HPV is a sexually transmitted disease, and it's not. It's passed on your hands, skin to skin. So it's those things that you touch, those things that you experience. But most of all, when people think that, they're not realizing that it's a cancer-preventing vaccine.
Right.
It prevents oral cancer, throat cancer, cervical cancer, rectal cancer, anal cancer. And now they're beginning to develop the fact that millions of people have now received this vaccine. We literally have a generation of people that are not developing certain cancers, and we're beginning to learn that some of those cancers really started out as an HPV virus. So if we had a breast cancer vaccine, everybody would be going and getting it, because there's no stigma that has socially been attached to that vaccine. And I want to break that barrier down, because it's so important to prevent that. If we can prevent cancer, let's do it.
And I think it goes back to your point. Do your homework, do the research, and understand what the Gardasil vaccine does, much like we understand now all the vaccines that we get.
Correct.
And so thank you for sharing that. And thank you for your passion about the health of our children.
Yep. They're our future.
That carries through. So we've made it through middle school. No worse the wear, we've made it through middle school, and it's time for high school.
Yes.
And as you said, our high schoolers need to make that next step and need to have some vaccinations as well. What are we looking at when we're moving into high school?
Well, we also offer, because some people will come because we're a military town. We have people moving and coming and going all the time. And remember earlier I said, not every state has the same requirements.
Right.
And if they're going to go to one of our state schools, we're learning some significant differences. They need a second Menactra because the colleges are now requiring this.
Yes.
Some of them didn't get that Tdap in middle school, so we bring that to the high school. The cool thing about that immunization outreach is you don't have to lose work days, no productivity lost at work. We call your child out of class. They get their vaccine, so there's no school academia lost. You don't have to buy them lunch because you've taken them to the health department to get a shot and prevented them from getting some terrible illness, but nonetheless important. And you didn't have to pay a copay at the doctor's office. So I mean, that service right there alone to me is worth everything, so that I don't have to leave work, I don't have to go get my child, I don't have to go to the doctor's office. Having lunch with my kid might be kind of fun. But to think that you could use a whole day for that on another
The back
day
and forth.
for something else, maybe they're sick, truly sick, and need to go to the doctor for that. So that's a benefit for us. And we also do the college. So now we've done kindergarten, middle school, high school, now we're rolling into college. Some of the programs that kids go into and young people go into, the nursing program, the dental program, some of the other veterinarian programs, they have certain vaccine requirements. To live in a dorm, you have to have certain vaccine requirements. They're now changing a very simple word, or, to and that makes a big difference. And what a lot of people don't know is if you are 18 years of age and 364 days old, and you don't have insurance, the state provides vaccines for you. Because it's so important to prevent what we can prevent through vaccines. If you are a woman that is between the ages of 19 years of age and 44 years of age, for example, you can get the varicella or the chickenpox vaccine free of charge if you do not have health insurance. If you're going to a college and they require you to have the MMR, which is the measles, mumps, and rubella, and let's say you had it as a child, but now that form says and, you have to have proof of 2 vaccines and a positive titer, and your titer comes back and it's not positive, but you're going to a county school, a county college, community college, you're going to a state university or a trade school, you're covered under state vaccines if you're 18 years or older, or you're 18 years or under, because it's covered by a state vaccine. It's a requirement of that university or state. And they do that to bring down barriers to access of care and prevention.
So it's there for you.
Yes.
And being one of those college students who got that letter, who said you need a new MMR, I thought, I'm 19, what am I going to do? And it was coming home to my family doctor to get that.
Correct.
To get that booster. So recognizing that the state has the well-being of our students from kindergarten through college, and that you have that information available to us.
And going back to that registry, all 100 counties, health departments in this state participate in that registry. So let's say you get your MMR here, your first one, but you need a second one a month later, and you've gone to North Carolina State University, where all children should go.
I can't argue.
I know I
with
just
you.
lost half the audience, but, well, probably more than half the audience, but I'm a state mom. Their health department there has a record of the MMR that you received here and can give it to you properly spaced, and knows that state rule that will give you that second dose free of charge, and you don't have to actually drive home to get it.
You know, we sometimes, kids will see old movies and they'll see kids with the mumps or the measles or the chicken pox. Even conversations about the chicken pox, which we thought really was kind of innocuous, but we know it is not. And think, what is that? It's almost kind of mythical to them, but how incredible that it is mythical because of the consequences.
Well, it's much like polio. I mean, it's been eradicated off of the planet, but it hasn't. When we have a travel clinic, an immunization travel clinic, and we have an amazing program that runs and tells us what outbreaks are in that area in which you're going to travel. We give adults polio before they go to certain countries, because when I was younger, we gave oral polio. Now we give a vaccine in your arm for polio, and out the door you go. And you don't have any of those safety precautions of shedding the virus or anything like that that you used to have when we gave a live virus.
Well, that was going to be my next question, is so many of our college students now are looking at study abroad programs.
Yes, ma'am.
That this is really tangential to that conversation about even college vaccines.
Correct. And we have a travel clinic. It is an appointment-only clinic because there's a great deal of paperwork that goes into researching where you're going, what vaccines you already have, what you might need, what your insurance will cover, what your insurance won't cover. Because a lot of those vaccines are not state-funded vaccines, and they need to know that ahead of time.
So that brings us to our final thing, which we always talk about. We really, at this point, just have this conversation year-round, which is flu.
Oh, yes, flu.
and there's been some big changes that will be occurring at the Onslow County Health Department in terms of how that flu vaccine will be administered. Talk a little bit about the changes.
Well, I'm very excited about some of the changes. We are going to bring back the flu clinic.
Okay.
Which is something that it will post on our website what our hours are going to be, but we're looking at Mondays in the afternoons, Wednesdays in the afternoons, Thursdays all day, for just strictly if you need a flu vaccine. So you won't come through our regular immunization clinic, you will go strictly to the flu clinic, and we will only administer that one vaccine in that one clinic. In other words, if you're there for a regular visit and you're a maternal health visit and they order you a flu vaccine, you're going to get your flu vaccine that day and you won't go through the flu clinic. But if you're coming as 65 and over and you're going to get the flu, high dose flu, and that's all you're getting, we will have special hours for you. So it decreases your wait time because we are a walk-in clinic. It decreases that time that you will spend in the clinic because you're not having to wait behind somebody that's getting 3 or 4 vaccines for back to school. But we don't have any flu yet. We're not expecting our flu until latter September, early October. We will message it, we will tweet it, we will post it on Facebook, we will send out messages, we'll put it in the newspaper like we always do. But there's a change this year. The CDC and the ACIP, which is the group of really smart people that talk about vaccines and their effectiveness, and they study them. They did a study on the flu mist and had a 3% coverage. So we will not have the flu mist this year. The CDC will not allow it to be released. Therefore, it will not be dispensed. Therefore, we will not have it physically in stock to give it. So for those parents that say you can get the flu mist in your nose, we will not have that service this year because that vaccine is not being provided to us, and it's nationwide.
Very good.
And we will post things on our website about that so you can actually read the study. You can read why we're doing it. If we're going to give you something, we want it to be effective, and 3% is just not an effective rate. It's not an acceptable effective rate.
Not an acceptable. And of course, we're going to definitely have you all back, to talk about this. Now, the one last thing which we really need to address is as all these parents are preparing for back to school time, there are some logistical changes as well as people are trying to access the health department. And if they've driven down that College Street area, they might see all the changes that are happening at the health department. So if you can, please, and it's a little off topic, but we want to make sure that everyone's prepared and comfortable. Again, there's already some anxiety. My child's going to school. We're going to have to go get vaccines. There's going to be some nervousness. How can we make our approach and parking at the Onslow County Health Department a little easier for them, a little more comfortable because of all the construction?
Let me put this caveat into what you said. Not every child that gets a school physical actually needs vaccines.
Okay.
If that child has been on schedule and is tracking on their vaccines as the ACIP, that really smart group of people, says that their schedule should be, most kindergartners may not need any vaccines.
So we're set there.
Because if they're 5 going into kindergarten, they've had most of their shots by the time they're 4.
Okay.
So they may not need one. The only one is a polio vaccine. They changed a rule. They have to have that 4th polio after their 4th birthday. But I mean, we're very astute. We check it out and we make sure that if they need it, they get it. But many of the people that get physicals don't need any vaccines at all.
Okay.
So I mean, moms may not need it. Let us spring the vaccine surprise on them.
Okay.
Most times. So back to your earlier question. We are building a new building.
Yes.
It's a consolidation building. It's very exciting. We're going to have social service and the health department in one building, so you'll be able to do your Medicaid, and you'll be able to do your baby visits, and you'll be able to do your WIC and do your immunizations, and you'll be able to do your diabetes education, everything all in one big building. But unfortunately, with that big building that's being built, there is some pain that's coming with that, with parking and access. You've got Bay Shore that comes around, and sometimes they have it barricaded. We have our parking where that you can now access the parking where you always parked before if you'd been to the health department for years.
Okay.
In the old hospital parking lot. The staff is the one that our parking is a little
Wonky.
Yes, it's always in the same place, but we never know what's going to be in the barrier to get us to between us and the Chronos time clock.
There you go.
It's a little bit easier, and they have very good signage. But just if you have an appointment, my suggestion is come 30 minutes before your appointment, especially if you're hand carrying a vaccine record. If you know ahead of time that you've got this appointment, make a Xerox copy of that vaccine record and just bring it to us ahead of time.
Very good.
We have an immunization tracker. Her name is Alice Stone, and she is a rock star. She puts in all of the immunization records. I mean, when we say we get them from everywhere, we get them from everywhere. We get them from Yemen, we get them from England, we get them from Spain, we get them, because we have a lot of military, but we also have a huge immigrant population, and we get them from Mexico, and we research what each country gives different vaccines at different times, because some countries give Menactra, which is that meningococcal, the meningitis vaccine, when they're younger. We don't give it until later in life.
Right.
So those are those things that we track, and we enter them into the NCIR, and there's evidence that your child received that vaccine, but we may not follow up with a subsequent one. But we'll explain that at that visit, why that child didn't get that. And you get a printout of that record every single time you come.
All right, so we've got you there, we've got you prepared, and then of course, you can go to the websites, the school system, the health department, check it out, make sure you're prepared, give yourself a little extra cushion in terms of time, and don't worry. Don't have that anxiety, because this is a great time in the life of your child as they start this new adventure, whether it be kindergarten, middle school, high school, or college.
Correct.
And you're going to be right there with them.
I hope so.
Well,
Should be.
Whitney, thank you. Thank you always for such great information. We've got your telephone number, we've got your website, and we want to make sure that this is the best school year that these kids can get into.
And when people are watching this, they're going to actually show on the screen the tabs on how to find the documents and how to find the pieces of paper and what they look like.
So we're going to walk you through the steps.
We're going to walk you through the steps.
Well, this has been fantastic.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you for walking us through the steps, and we're going to be sure to visit with you very soon.
Well, thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is really one of our favorite programs, the Peers program. Melanie Jordan, thank you for coming back.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You know, through the years, as we've gotten to know more about Peers and the important service that it provides in the county, it's just always a joy to come in and speak with you about the programs that you offer and what a difference it makes in the life of our families here in Onslow County. So first and foremost, thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
Now, we want to introduce folks who may not be familiar with Peers to what it actually does and is. And you are a nonprofit, but are affiliated with and under the umbrella of our Department of Social Services.
Correct.
So let's define and let's introduce Peers to our viewers.
Okay. I always tell people it's a very unique program since we are a nonprofit organization, but we also are under the umbrella of the Department of Social Services. So I think it's definitely a benefit. Peers was established in 1977 in the county. And it's evolved over the years, and we're 39 years. Next year we're going to celebrate 40 years of service.
That's incredible.
So we're very excited about that. PEER stands for Parent Education, Empathy, Rapport, and Support. And our goal is to provide services to the citizens of Onslow County, such as parenting classes, an adolescent parenting program that we have, and also free drop-in child care. And it's for parents to receive services, non-judgmental. They come in, they walk in the door, and we're just there to provide a service to help them with parenting education, to help them with parenting skills, to become a better parent, to be more productive, and to enhance the lives of their children, and just to enhance the family themselves.
One of the things we talk about being in a community where everyone is so transient, sometimes we are removed from that extended family, from the aunts or the grandmothers who have shared their wisdom for parenting, or have been that secondary parenting level even, the idea that a child gets to spend time with extended family when mom or dad needs to take that beat, needs to take that time. So many of our families are removed from that. And so PEERS really kind of steps in and serves as that secondary family level, don't they?
Absolutely.
That
We
extended
sure do.
family.
Yes. And a case in point would be the drop-in child care. Since we do have a transit population in the military, and we have a young population as well, parents don't have extended family, so they look for that break that they may have, and that's where the drop-in child care comes into play, where they can drop off their child Monday, Wednesday, or Friday from 9 to 1. They can come one time a week, but they know that their child is in a safe, nurturing environment. And then they, whatever, if they have a doctor's appointment, if they need to go back home and rest. We've been seeing a lot of referrals from the court system. So it was nice to see, Judge Hardison here today. But if they have a court matter, or if they need to go to their attorney's office, or whatever the case may be. We've been, like I said, receiving a lot of referrals from the courts for parents to come down and see if they, can have some child care assistance. So we try to provide that to anyone.
And you are very strategically and conveniently located as well, because you're in that downtown vicinity. Let's give folks an idea about your specific location if they need to utilize your services.
Right. We're at 151 Cheney Avenue, and we are located downtown, right down from the Sheriff's Department, the courthouse, and then also the Jacksonville Police Department. So it's in a good central location.
Very good. Now you also have coming up a special event, and you all do, I don't know who in your team, I'm sure it's a collaborative effort, because you all come up with some really clever events throughout the year to bring attention to peers and also to assist with your funding. And so what have you got coming up this summer?
We're excited about this, and we do try to do different fundraisers and events to bring awareness to peers, and also it gives us an opportunity to give back to the community as well. But on Thursday, August the 18th, we have a back-to-school barbecue. So we are excited at that. It will be located at Piers, at our location there at Cheney Avenue, like I mentioned before. We're going to have barbecue, coleslaw, baked beans, rolls, and a dessert. So it's $8 a plate, and it's just to help us raise additional funds for things that grants, money that we do receive from other agencies, won't cover. So it gives us an opportunity to, get the message out there, what Piers is about. It gives an opportunity for people to actually come to Piers and see it. We have an open door policy. We love people to come by and see what we do and what we're about, and also to get some good food in the meantime. So it's $8 a plate. We've started advertising, so if anybody's interested, they can call. I think the number will be on the website, and also our phone number will be put up there as well. So you can call, check out the website. We've got that listed, but we're excited about it.
It sounds like a lot of fun. First and foremost, you're serving the most popular food, the Eastern North Carolina. I mean, that's our signature.
Yes.
It's our signature dish, if you will. So you've got that covered, and it's for such an important cause because, as you say, you are a nonprofit. So you have the opportunity to receive some grant funding, your staff funding. It's part of the umbrella of DSS, but you have the expenses that are associated, and the community that you serve benefits in so many different
Oh,
ways.
absolutely, it sure does. We work or partner with different agencies, such as Onslow County Partnership for Children, United Way. We receive funds from the county and from the city of Jacksonville, and also from the Department of Health and Human Services, state funding. So we're fortunate to receive these different funds, but it doesn't cover everything.
Sure.
So when, for example, like maintenance or something goes wrong in there, we have to find a way to replace a stove that we just had to recently do. It just, wherever we can get money from, wherever we can receive funds, makes it beneficial to us, and that in turn helps us, to spread it out there to the county and support.
And of course, when members of the community buy a ticket to one of your events, one of your fun events that you all host, it's really an investment. It's an investment in the families that you serve.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, Melanie, as we're kind of closing out, one more time we want to tell people about your event, because that's really what we want them to know about enjoying some barbecue, but also investing in the families and investing in peers.
Absolutely. It's our back to school barbecue, and it's going to be on Thursday, August the 18th from 11:30 to 2. And you will receive a plate of good food, I promise, barbecue, coleslaw, baked beans, rolls, and a dessert. And you can dine in.
Okay.
There's carry out, and there's also delivery that will be available.
Okay. As we are kind of closing out, is there anything else that you want to let people know about Peers or about the barbecue, or how they can assist you all in any number of ways?
We're always looking for volunteers. So if anybody would like to volunteer, they can call us, 910-333-9725. That's the main number. And we're looking for board members as well. We're looking for individuals that are interested and believe in our mission. And I would like to state the mission of Peers. Peers works, with families in the community, for the prevention of child abuse, and that is our main focus, is our children.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your commitment to Peers and your commitment to our community, and we are looking forward to some good barbecue.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you. We're so glad you joined us for this edition of Onslow County Today, and a special thank you to our guest, the Honorable Judge Paul Hardison. We also spoke with Whitney Jessick from the Onslow County Health Department, Melanie Jordan from the Peers Program, and Valerie Satie from the Onslow County Public Library. Summer is still with us, and it is always a great time to get out and explore Onslow County Today.